I have no special knowledge, Umbrisi protested, just the ordinary wish to live like a human being. You mean to say, Foka, that perch can be met with at the Colosseum as well? But at the Colosseum a portion of perch costs 13 rubles 15 kopecks, and here, 5.50. Besides, at the Colosseum they serve 3-day-old perch, and, besides, there's no guarantee you won't get slapped in the mug with a bunch of grapes at the Colosseum by the first young man who bursts in from Theater Alley. No, I'm categorically opposed to the Colosseum, the gastronome Umbrisi boomed for the whole boulevard to hear. Don't try to convince me, Foka. I'm not trying to convince you, Umbrisi, Foka squeaked. One can also dine at home. I humbly thank you, trumpeted Umbrisi, but I can imagine your wife, in the communal kitchen at home, trying to do perch au naturel to order in a saucepan. He. Au revoir, Foka. And, humming, Umbrisi directed his steps to the veranda under the tent. Ah, yes. Yes, there was a time. Old Muscovites will remember the renowned Grabodovs. What is poached perch done to order? Cheap stuff, my dear Umbrisi. But sterlet in a silvery chafing dish, sterlet slices interlaid with crayfish tails and fresh caviar? And eggs en cocotte with mushroom puree in little dishes? And how did you like the fillets of thrush? With truffles? Quail à la genoise? 9.50. And the jazz, and the courteous service. And in July, when the whole family is in the country, and you are kept in the city by urgent literary business, on the veranda, in the shade of the creeping vines, in a golden spot on the cleanest of tablecloths, a bowl of soup printanier? Remember, Umbrisi? But why ask? I can see by your lips that you do. What is your whitefish, your perch? But the snipe, the great snipe, the jack snipe, the woodcock in their season, the quail, the curlew? Cool seltzer fizzing in your throat? But enough, you are getting distracted, reader. Follow me. At 10:30 on the evening when Berlioz died at the Patriarch's Ponds, only one room was lit upstairs at Grabodov's, and in it languished 12 writers who had gathered for a meeting and were waiting for Mikhail Alexandrovich. Sitting on chairs, and on tables, and even on the 2 windowsills in the office of the mass-lit executive board, they suffered seriously from the heat. Not a single breath of fresh air came through the open windows. Moscow was releasing the heat accumulated in the asphalt all day, and it was clear that night would bring no relief. The smell of onions came from the basement of the aunt's house, where the restaurant kitchen was at work. They were all thirsty, they were all nervous and angry. The belletrist Beskudnikov, a quiet, decently dressed man with attentive and at the same time elusive eyes, took out his watch. The hand was crawling towards 11. Beskudnikov tapped his finger on the face and showed it to the poet Dvubrodsky, who was sitting next to him on the table and in boredom dangling his feet shod in yellow shoes with rubber treads. Anyhow, grumbled Dvubrodsky. The laddie must have got stuck on the Kliazma, came the thick-voiced response of Nastasia Lukanishna Nepremenova, orphan of a Moscow merchant, who had become a writer and wrote stories about sea battles under the pen name of Bosun George. Excuse me, boldly exclaimed Zagravov, an author of popular sketches, but I personally would prefer a spot of tea on the balcony to stewing in here. The meeting was set for 10 o'clock, wasn't it? It's nice now on the Kliazma, Bosun George needled those present, knowing that Paraligino on the Kliazma, the country colony for writers, was everybody's sore spot. There's nightingales singing already. I always work better in the country, especially in spring. It's the third year I've paid in so as to send my wife with goiter to this paradise, but there's nothing to be spied amidst the waves, the novelist Irenim Poprikin said venomously and bitterly. Some are lucky and some aren't, the Kritika Babkov droned from the windowsill. Bosun George's little eyes lit up with glee, and she said, softening her contralto. We mustn't be envious, comrades. There's 22 dachas in all, and only 7 more being built, and there's 3,000 of us in Masalit. $3,111, someone put in from the corner. So you see, the bosun went on, what can be done? Naturally, it's the most talented of us that got the dachas. The generals. Glukarev the scenarist cut right into the squabble. Beskudnikov, with an artificial yawn, walked out of the room. 5 rooms to himself in Paraligino, Glukarev said behind him. Lavrovich has six to himself, Deniskin cried out, and the dining room's paneled in oak. That's not the point right now, Ababkov droned, it's that it's 11:30. A clamor arose, something like rebellion was brewing. They started telephoning hated Paraligino, got the wrong dacha, Lavrovich's, found out that Lavrovich had gone to the river, which made them totally upset. They called at random to the Commission on Fine Literature, extension 950, and of course found no one there. He might have called, shouted Deniskin, Glukarev, and Quant.